Hello aspirants, welcome to EPITOME IAS. This is Mansoor. So recently we have started this NCERT series. So in today's class we are going to discuss chapter 3 of 6th class NCERT. So if you see the chapter 3 of 6th class NCERT, this chapter revolves around the motions of the earth. So before going into this chapter, I would like to tell you something that this particular chapter, that is motions of the earth, this chapter is very basic and fundamental, and it is very important for the upcoming concepts of geography. For suppose if you see climatology, or if you see physical geography of world, or if you see the environmental impacts, what are they? One, climatology; second, physical geography; and third, environmental impacts. See, if you want to get clarity on these three topics, this particular chapter 3 of 6th NCERT is very basic fundamental thing. So in this chapter, what we are going to learn is, if you see the quick summary of this chapter, so most of the time, see, in motion of earth, so we will be seeing some important topics. First one will be rotation of the earth. What is a rotation? And second, we will be seeing revolution of the earth. So basically the core idea or the core concept of this chapter revolves around these two topics: one, rotation; second, revolution. And in this rotation, what are the impacts that earth is having, and in revolution, what are the impacts that earth is having. So these are the important areas, or these are the important concepts which is present in this particular chapter, that is motion of the earth. And here in this chapter, there is one more important topic, that is positioning of the earth during a year with respect to the sun. That means, see, if you observe, during June months in northern hemisphere, we experience the summer, and in the same way during June in southern hemisphere we will be having winter. In the same way, during December months in northern hemisphere, we will be having winters. During December in southern hemisphere, there they will be having summers. So how and why this phenomena is happening, all those things will be discussed in this chapter. Okay, so this is very basic, important, fundamental chapter for upcoming concepts in geography. So without any delay, first of all, we will be moving to page number 1 of this chapter. See, if you see here in page number 1, if you observe, there are some key words, that is rotation and revolution. So first of all, we should be knowing what is meant by rotation. So what is meant by rotation? Rotation is nothing but movement of earth on its own axis. That means if I am standing here, if I am rotating, if I am rotating 360 degrees, this is called rotation. This is the basic fact which you will be learning in 6th class. Okay. Here, the point to be noted is, yes, earth is rotating. Okay, I am not telling that earth is not rotating, and we all know that earth is rotating. But the point here is, earth will be rotating on its own axis. Earth will be rotating on its own axis. Now, what is meant by axis? So, axis is nothing but an imaginary line which passes from north pole to south pole. For suppose, if this is an earth, yes, here is a picture. If this is an earth, there is a line which is passing from north pole to south pole. This particular imaginary line, we call it as an axis. So here the point is, earth will be rotating based upon the axis. Are you getting my point? That is the important fact. Then if you see here, the next important key word given in this chapter is revolution. What is meant by revolution? Revolution is nothing but movement of earth around the sun in a particular path. Okay, what is meant by revolution? Movement of earth around the sun in a particular path. So now here the important term, keyword to be remembered is that path in which earth is revolving around the sun, that particular path is called as an orbit. So if you see here, all the planets, all the 8 planets in our solar system are having particular paths. They are having their own orbits. So in case of Pluto, what happened was, this Pluto is not having its own orbit. Yes, Pluto is having its orbit, but sometimes, some part of the time, this Pluto will be having a common orbit with Neptune. So because of that reason, what happened was, Pluto has been degraded from planet to degraded from planet to dwarf planet. Okay, so it is not a planet. So we can't tell that Pluto is a planet. And in 2003, what they have done is they have removed the status of planet to Pluto. Okay, so this story we have learned in chapter 1 of 6th class NCERT. So now important, one more important point here is the axis of the Earth, which is an imaginary line, makes an angle of 66 and off with the orbital plane. And here, if you see here, what is an orbital plane? So if you observe this picture clearly, you will be noticing that you have to remember two angles. Whenever we are talking about axis, see, this is the axis which is passing from North Pole to South Pole. So if you see here, I have drawn an image. In this picture, there is an imaginary line drawn here. This angle is known as orbital angle, and this angle will be 66 degrees and off. 66 and off degrees. And if you see the angle between this line and this axis, it will be 23 and off degrees. Okay, so that is what he was mentioning in this particular paragraph. Okay, right. So the next important keyword which was given here is illumination. So circle of illumination. What is meant by circle of illumination? For suppose we all know that half of the world will be having daylight, half of the world will be having night. Okay, so the point where the daylight as well as the night will be differentiating, that particular line or that particular imaginary line, it is known as a circle of illumination. Okay, so the point here is we are just seeing the keywords and we are just trying to understand what is the definition that was given in chapter 6. Okay, in chapter 6 we need not to go detailedly and we need not to read the entire paragraph. So here in this chapter there are only few keywords. As I told you earlier, one, rotation. We should be knowing basic concept of rotation. And here the point is what is the effect of this rotation? So we all know that because of rotation of the Earth, we will be having day and night. That is one of the important fact about rotation. Then what is the cause of revolution? So what happens when Earth is revolving around the sun? The thing is, the climate change will be happening. Okay, how this climate change will happen? This climate change happen because of this tilted axis in which Earth is revolving. So what is the angle? Angle is 66 and off degrees. This 66 and off degrees angle is called as orbital angle of orbital plane. Then there is one more angle, that is 23 and off degrees. So you can mention either 23 degrees and off or else 66 and off angle. Okay, there is no problem at all. Then in this next page, what he was mentioning is, next page he said he is showing a picture. So in this picture you can clearly demarcate or you can clearly see that the position of the Earth with respect to sun. So if you see here, 5 minutes. If you see here, during March, what happens is, see, if you want to understand this particular picture, you need to remember that Earth is revolving around the sun in an inclined axis. This is must and should when you are trying to understand this picture. So what happened was, this is sun here. During March month, when Earth is revolving around the sun, majority of the sunlight directly it will be reaching the equator. Okay, this is equator. This latitude is a Tropic of Cancer. This latitude is Tropic of Cancer. If you see the positioning of the Earth, the majority of the sunlight it will be reaching the equator zone. So because the majority of the sunlight is reaching the equator zone, most of the time during this month, during the March, the length of the day and length of the night will be same near equator. Okay, I'm not talking about North Pole and South Pole. I'm talking only about equator. So this particular phenomena is called as equinox. What happens during equinox? During equinox, the area or the places or the countries which are lying above the equator or below the equator, in between this Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn, they will be experiencing equal length of day as well as night. Okay, and on this particular 21st March, you will be having equal day length of the day and equal length of the night. And when this Earth is has changed its position from March to June, what happened was, during June the Earth will be coming to this side. So here if you see the inclined axis of the earth, and again if you notice, majority of the sunlight it will be falling on the Tropic of Cancer, because this latitude is Tropic of Cancer, this is equator, this is Tropic of Capricorn. Majority of the sunlight will be falling on Tropic of Cancer and the area which is above the Tropic of Cancer. So during this time what happens? If you see here, this is North Pole. Okay, the axis passes from South Pole to North Pole, and this particular point is North Pole. If you observe during this particular month, during this June, the entire northern hemisphere will be having a huge amount of sunlight. Now what happens is, in this North Pole, you will be finding more amount of sunlight when compared to this equinox period. And during this June, during this during this phase, the South Pole will be experiencing less amount of sunlight. So this particular phenomena we call it as an summer solstice. So in a single word, if you want to remember, during June period, you will be experiencing summers in northern hemisphere, and on June 21st, this phenomena will be on peak. This phenomena will be on its zenith phase. So on June 21st, what happens was, length of the day will be very high when compared to the length of the night. Okay. So after that, if you come here again, in this September October month, what happened was, again Earth will be coming into this position, and in this position what happens is, again the sunlight will be falling directly on equator. So that means the sunlight will be falling between a Tropic of Cancer and a Tropic of Capricorn. So during this time what happens, the same phenomena which is happening in March will be repeating, and during September 23rd, the length of the day as well as length of the night will be same again. And then what happens, again at the end of the year, during a December November month, what happens was, now this time the entire sunlight will be falling on below this equator. Okay, so here what happens, during this phase, the southern hemisphere of the earth will be experiencing lot of heat. So we can tell that in December month, most of the sunlight will be falling on southern hemisphere, and we can expect that summers will be there in southern hemisphere. And this particular phenomena is called as winter solstice, and the day on which this winter solstice phenomena will be to the peak is December 22. So the point here to be noted is, see, we are considering 4 positions, and we are saying that we will be getting equinox 2 times in a year, and we will be having summer solstice and we will be having winter solstice. So if you see here, during March we are having equinox, and after 2 months we are having summer solstice, and again after 2 to 3 months we are having September. Then again we are having winter solstice in December. So this is how the climates will be changing in that particular hemispheres. The point here is, you may get one doubt, that is, see, here we are saying that more amount of heat is in southern hemisphere, and we are calling that there are summers in southern hemisphere, but why we are calling it as an winter solstice? Are you getting my point? The point here is, whichever climate phenomena we are referring, we are fixing a northern hemisphere. We are not taking southern hemisphere into consideration, because here we are having some winters in the northern hemisphere. We are calling it as an winter solstice. Here we are having summers in the northern hemisphere. We are calling this phenomena as summer solstice. We are fixing this entire climatic phenomena based upon the northern hemisphere. We are not considering the southern hemisphere. Okay, that is the basic doubt everyone will be having, right? So that is what in this paragraph, the entire the theory regarding the summer solstice and entire theory regarding winter solstice has been given, right? So this is very small chapter, but the thing is, this chapter is very, very important for understanding the high level concepts of geography. So in this chapter, what we have learned, first of all, we have learned that what is meant by rotation. So what happens, because of this rotation, we will be having a day and night. So that is point number 1. Okay, the place or the line where this day and night is dividing, that particular line we call it as circle of illumination. Okay, then we have learned that what is meant by revolution. What happens when earth is revolving around the sun? So what happens, because of this revolution, we will be having climatic changes, we will be having seasonal changes. So as we discussed, in June we will be having a summer solstice, and in September we will be having a winter solstice, sorry, equinox, and in December we will be having a winter solstice, and again in March we will be having a equinox. That means day of the night and day of the day will be same. Okay, so because of this phenomena, the entire climatic changes will be happening. Okay, so thank you so much for watching this video. So the next chapter will be on maps, and in that chapter we will be seeing the basic fundamentals regarding the different kinds of maps and different kinds of maps that we are adopting in order to understand the geography of entire earth. So thank you so much for watching this video. So we will meet in the next class.